Hey there, what's going on? Flatwork Kings and Flatwork Queens. We should add the word Queens in there for the ladies
Yeah.
watching. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We have a special success highlight episode with the one and only Mr. Mark Ronk from Ronk Construction Services, Concrete Contracting Services in Ohio. And Mark, great to have you here. How's your day going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me. Honored to be here for sure.
Beautiful. And we have the founder of Flatwork Kings himself, Mr. Will Mattingly. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and leading the conversation.
Thanks,
And
Danny.
just like always, hey, we're here to get to know Mr. Mark, the success that he's having. And one thing that, as I was having a conversation here with Will and Mark, it's, this is the thing. It's like what defines a king in my personal book is when you have a family, when you have kids, when you're running a business, when you have a life, how do you actually make it all happen? How do you actually become successful, not just in the business quadrant, in the concrete quadrant, in the delivery of your services, but as a father? As a father. But before we get into that side of the conversation, Mark, go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're from, what do you do exactly, and we'll take it from there.
Yes, Mark Ronk, Ronk Construction. I am pretty much out of New Albany, which is a suburb of Columbus, Ohio. And we do mostly residential. We do decorative, we do stamping, and we like to rip out driveways. Those are bread and butters. We are connected with some apartment management groups, so we do some of that stuff as well.
Beautiful. And I love, I was watching, looking at some of the work that you guys have done throughout the year. Beautiful stamp concrete work. How do you actually got started in the industry, Mark? Like, what's your story?
So my story is, I when I grew up, I had an uncle that had a commercial construction company. So most of us family members and kids, that's where we started working at. Or my dad was a superintendent, so he took us to job sites. And actually, in 1985, I was 12 years old, and I was getting paid 50 cents an hour. And I was thrilled to death to make 50 cents an hour. And I thought that was pretty cool that I was able to, make 20 bucks in a week, just by sweeping the trailer out and doing some different things. So that's where I got my start in it. And then throughout high school, I was like, well, I played sports. So I played football. And when I graduated high school, I actually went to technical school. And I actually studied criminal justice, believe it or not.
Wow.
And yeah, I wanted to get into law enforcement. So I did get into law enforcement, and I could never really get those jobs I wanted, not the big ones. I was getting some jobs and some work, but the hours were terrible. We worked midnight shift. It was minimum wage. I worked holidays. It was tough. And when my family came along, I didn't like it anymore. I wanted to be there, with my family and, on the weekends and the evenings. So I kind of made a decision at one point that, I didn't want to do this anymore. And if this wasn't going to be what I wanted to do, then what did I want? Well, if I wasn't going to do that, I wanted money. So I knew that the construction field, there was a lot of money to be made in construction. So I went to work in 1997 for a company. And in that company, we did all kinds of things. So we did many trades. We did anywhere from drywall work. We did concrete. We did roofing. We did home additions, custom built houses. You name it, we did it. Some important things I noticed when we were doing those different things was it was hard to really get good at something because you were constantly doing something different. So I was making mental notes as I worked for this company for 8 or 9 years. And I noticed when other trades would come in that were trade specific, I noticed how good and efficient they were in the quality of their work. Like they were in and out, bang, 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 gone. And their work was phenomenal. Working for this company, it was always a struggle with quality. The owner was never happy because it didn't look perfect. Well, I'm like, if we're doing something different all the time, it's hard to achieve that. So I was taking those mental notes. Mm-hmm. But then you fast forward to, like 2003 or 4, this company was on its way out. It was in financial trouble and it was getting ready to go down fast. So I had started doing side work. I think 2003 was my very first side job I ever did. And it was concrete. I like concrete because we did do some of it, and I was could do it. and I had a family member ask me if I wanted to do their driveway. And so I gave him a price to do the driveway, and I did. So it's funny though, when I did this driveway, I had an 89 pickup truck, a shovel, and a pick. And we had another guy that was working with me, and he came and helped me. We ripped this driveway out with a shovel and a pick, and framed it up and poured it. I actually have the picture right here. I always look at this picture just to realize where I came from. This is it. We did a whole driveway with a pickup truck, a shovel, and a pick. So from there, I started getting more and more side work, and then I just made a decision in 2006 that it was time to go on my own. And I launched full time in 2006. And here I am still doing it 17 years later.
Wow. Good for you. That's an awesome story, Mark. So
thank you.
In 2006, that was, you know, coming up on a tough year or set of years there, right in the beginning of your business, right?
Yeah, and I also want to elaborate too. Hey, when I started out, there was no social media, none. It didn't exist. So the things that I had to do was I had to put flyers on mailboxes. So I go in neighborhoods and I take my kids to help me, give them a few bucks, and we'd be sticking, Post-its on mailboxes. And I would probably do 500, 800, mailboxes and maybe get a couple jobs out of it. But, it's what it took. And, the flyers were cheap. So we went about that. And then as far as finding jobs, you didn't have Google Maps. You had MapQuest. So you'd have to download a MapQuest and then try to find these places to go on these jobs. And so it was very, very tough. And you didn't have the tools that you have now to put yourself out there. And another way I had to get work was I had to sub work. So I'd find that local handyman and say, hey, you got any concrete? I'll do it. And he'd be like, okay. So he would give me some jobs. I remember this guy was really I don't know, he was almost like a boss, even though I was a subcontractor. So I had to put up with his stuff all the time. But those were the humblest beginnings, before my reputation really started to take hold, and I didn't need to do those things.
Yeah. So here you are, 17 years in, and you got two boys that are starting to take an interest in it also, right?
Yeah, they are. My oldest, Tyler, he graduated last year, and he is with me full time. He said he is interested in this, and one day he would like to take it.
Oh wow, that's no prouder moment, huh?
Yeah, very, and I love having him. Yeah, my younger boy, he's still in school, but he works for me when he can, and yeah, I really do enjoy having them with me.
Oh wow, that's neat. A truly family business there. Now, I think a lot of people in Flatwork Kings have been following you also for the past few years and seen that growth, or just some of the new equipment and stuff that you've gotten in the last year or two, particularly recently. I think you posted about a dump truck you just bought, and you kind of understand the importance of reinvesting in your company, to keep things going smoothly. And it seems like you're a guy who gets that. You've gotten form liners. I see a lot of that stuff on your jobs where you put it all the way around the edge of the patio. How are there some specific examples you can point to where that kind of reinvestment has helped attract help or attract the next best job, or how does that look for you?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll give you you credit and the guys in the group credit. I think as a small business owner, it sometimes you have sticker shock and you're afraid to make that purchase. You're like, well, if I hang in there, maybe I'll find something dirt cheap. Well, sometimes you can, but eventually those wells dry up. And especially in this market, the used stuff is just not there. So when I started to kind of buy things, as I would study you guys and see your techniques and things you buy. I mean, it wouldn't be long after I had that piece of equipment or whatever that I was like, I just seen the value, wow, this is a huge money maker. And with a short amount of time, it's paid off, and
yeah.
So the tools are definitely help with success, all the way around, but it is hard. I mean, they're big, those are big purchases, so you really got to feel like, oh my gosh, I just invested, $80,000 in a dump truck, but I'm going to get the return, and it's going to look really good out there. But yeah, I mean, it's really important to invest in your company, and I've been doing that, especially I go back to the group. So I've seen how a lot of you guys did things, and a lot of things that you buy, and I adopted those things and put them to work.
Now, how as you've kind of navigated through the last couple of years specifically, I know that we joined each other at the last Flatwork Kings event, talked about a lot of different, everything from, looking for employees to, targeting your next best project. And it seems like you were bragging on your crew a lot this year. And, you can brag on your sons if you want to here, but it seems like you were really in a rhythm this year. And I know you have different parts of your business too that you operate, as far as real estate and some other different stuff we can get into. But your crew, were you able to leave them on the job site alone this year a little more than usual, or what changed for you?
Well, to be truthful though, that happened last year. Last year I had a really good crew. Last year after the mastermind event was record sales for me, record year, just really catapulted me. So this past year I've had some turnover. So at times the crew was there and at times it wasn't. So I had to readapt and revalue and get it going again. But it's funny, at the tail end of the season, I had the crew. We had it, but unfortunately we were hitting in December and it was getting too cold. So It was this year I did it. So like I said, it was a little bit, I had some turnover and some issues to deal with this year. But at the end we had it. And then right now, other than one guy who's doing National Guard duty, I still have them. So hopefully we're going to pick up that momentum into this year. And if not, maybe add a couple more to really come up with a super crew. I mean, we had that conversation with my oldest son today, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it seems like that's the case for us all, right? You start to build this super crew and things are clicking really well. And then somebody has, National Guard duty, or life comes up, or a child, or, something happens where you kind of got to adjust your sales a little bit and, be ready to pivot. And speaking of pivoting, you're also involved in real estate. Is that true? Or you guys have a couple of rentals, yourself and your wife?
Yeah, we have 8 rental properties, and yes, we are in real estate. Absolutely.
That's a good point. And I think, briefly here before we went live here, you were talking a little bit about what kind of economic uncertainty might be ahead of us, or how you're poised. I know you always like to talk about those kind of things and being prepared for an economics, even just a slowdown, and how that can affect everybody's piece of the pie. Now, those rentals, are those do those generate cash flow for you, or what's the strategy there?
Yeah, they're cash cows, 100%. We started in 09. I think we bought the last one in 17. So it was when the market was down, and I think the lease I paid was 30,000, and most I paid was 65 for single family homes. And I've kept them all, and they are fully rented, and they have really just added a lot to everything. My family. It makes winters are comfortable for me. I don't have to worry about that, if there's not much work because of the cold. So I can't speak enough about what that did. And to tell, like, that you're talking about the economic uncertainty. I started in 06. I was starting to pick up speed in 07 with the business. Things were going good. And then in 08, it hit. And I tell you what, that phone quits ringing, and it rings very little. And it was really the economy just stopped. But, after a few weeks, the calls did start coming. A little bit different on how you bid. I mean, almost it was a buyer's market for concrete. I mean, that's what it was. You had to do a lot more deals with people and all that. But then, things picked back up, and then now we're in a super economy for us. It's more like, yes, it's our market.
Yeah,
crazy.
Things are crazy right now. Even if you have half a crew right now, you should consider yourself lucky, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I know there's a few other people in the group also that I shouldn't even say dabble in real estate. They make it a profession like yourself. And, does that, like you said, it carries you through the winter a little bit. And does that even offer, the next time you find a deal, does that offer work for your guys to do? Do you self-perform any of the work that you have on these real estate deals?
Yeah. And back when I was heavy into it, when we were getting the deals, we would work all season, and then I'd have a house to renovate all winter. So that worked out nice.
Yeah.
That was nice to keep everybody busy, year round.
Yeah. And in the market you're in, right? Big college town, or you're close to the. Are you close enough to that action in Columbus?
Oh yeah, high state. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Go
So you
Bucks.
probably get. Yeah, I've seen a couple patios with the Buckeye logo in them.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so what are some of your goals this year as far as 2022 is concerned? What are you chasing a certain type of job more than another?
Well, yeah, so like I said, I had a conversation with my oldest today, and absolutely. I mean, I guess the way I look at it is I want to focus on quality, speed, and efficiency. So I told someone before, like, we can do a 400 square foot stamp patio and steps. I can turn that. I'm talking about from the time that we rip up the sod to it's sealed, I'm walking away. I can do that in 3.5 days. So
Yeah,
that's what I want to shoot for, is just to be able to turn them and to do more jobs, to keep shooting that completed job number up every year. And yeah, I think with the dump truck, the new dump truck is going to eliminate one of our trucks. So what does that mean? That means it's going to eliminate another driver. So that should help our efficiency, and
yeah,
it shouldn't break down. So the speed should be there.
yeah. So somebody's chiming in here asking if you find real estate to be better than the stock market.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the reason being is because I know houses. I know how to fix them. I know how they're built. I mean, that's where my knowledge is. So it makes sense for me. I mean, I can go fix them. I can renovate them. So I mean, you got to stick to what you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think it's something that somebody should jump into if they're on their last $10,000. But if you're looking for a place for an extra $10,000 to put it, or whatever, it's definitely a good idea to look into. Um, but not to dwell on that too much. I'm really interested in kind of how Ronk construction has gotten where it is today, and what are your future plans for it? Are you obviously, you said your oldest is very interested in the company. Are you teaching him how to estimate currently, or does he deal with customers at all yet?
Yeah, actually, we are. I took him out on a couple quotes here recently, and we sat in front of the computer, and I showed him what all it takes to type up the quote, and so he is definitely learning the administrative side too, which is
Yeah,
exciting. I want him to know the whole ball of wax, and like I said, with him, it's going to open the door for growth. I mean, I think for all of us to grow, you got to have that person that's going to help you grow, right? And I've
yeah,
been looking for my son for a long time. I mean, I've had guys, but the retention is the retention. I had a really good guy, and he retired. So I've been in it long enough to see that yeah, these things can go good for a few years, but then something happens and it changes. So then you got to adapt, and depending on who you get is how you adapt to that. I mean, am I going to be more stuck in the trenches now, or can I step away? It just depends on those people you get. And with Tyler, it's going to open the door for growth. So I'm excited about that for sure.
well, that's good. That's good. Have you noticed any? Obviously, the last 2 years have been really hot, like you said, in terms of this market. And you're dealing with primarily homeowners, correct? And then you said a little bit with apartment managers.
Yeah, exactly. It's homeowners and it's like some apartment managers. That's basically it.
And
Yeah.
how are you going about getting these? I know the elusive, apartment management contracts. I know those are highly sought after in our own market here in Indianapolis. I mean, did you start a relationship with them in a previous life, or in that business where you were doing more than just concrete, or is this a relationship that you struck up as Mark Ronk
Yeah.
Construction?
It's interesting you say that, because I think if you're in this business long enough and your company's out there, you're going to get that call. You're going to get this call where they're going to call you and say, "Hey, I got some work for you to bid. I'm with such and such property management." So luckily that call came to me, I think in 2012, with this one company who's really given me a lot of work over the years. And so the guy that I met, he eventually he quit, he left. So I knew from prior experiences, by losing a contact like that when he quit, I went to the main office right away with business cards. And I said, "Hey, I know that this guy quit, but I want you guys to know that I'm still here if you guys need anything." And you know what? It's the best thing I ever did because I stayed on. And I
That's
started dealing more with the head maintenance guy, and it blossomed to a beautiful relationship.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's a killer piece of advice for anybody watching. I mean, we've had so many relationships just disappear into thin air, and sometimes it may not be your fault, or you're just not paying attention, right? And 3 months later, you're like, man, I haven't heard from that person in a while, and by the time you call, they're like, oh wow, we just sent that project out to bid to three other contractors because Bill quit, or Bill retired, and we just had to find three new vendors, because they didn't know if your name was in his address book, or if it was on a piece of paper that went away, right? So that's a pretty killer piece of advice there. I've seen that happen myself, even in my own business. We've had to rekindle some relationships, sometimes a little bit, maybe we even lose a whole year trying to get that back.
Yeah, in the past, I had a really good school contract with a big school system, and the head groundkeeper, he'd found me and he was feeding me great work, and then he got fired. So I was kind of complacent on pursuing it. Say, well, they'll probably call me, and then by the time I reached out, they already hired other contractors. So that's where I learned that lesson, and then I was able to apply what I learned to this when I got in 2011, and I made sure that I didn't let that fire go out with them. And then, the important thing too is, like, when it's Christmas time, make sure you give those guys you deal with some gifts, some cards. The one company, they have an employee picnic. I make sure I contribute to that picnic. So those things are important to keep that relationship with them going.
Yeah. That's a valid point too. Probably a couple of years ago, I don't know if I got the idea from you. It's probably a realtor thing to make sure that you send everybody a Christmas card, and
Right.
I just have never been a big Christmas card person myself. Myself and my family never really sent one out, religiously, but we've been sending those out from our work, from our concrete company, and some of the responses that we get from those are surprising. And they just work. It's just middle of winter, and people are just always ready for a pick me up. Get that card in the mail that says thanks for your business. It's that has really changed the way that we operate. I know that.
Right. Yeah. Go talk with that manager. Go and just talk with him. I mean, I would go into the head maintenance guys. I hated it because he scared me because he had so much clout. But I just go in there and BS with him for a while, and man, that kind of stuff just goes. I just can't explain how far that goes. It's crazy.
We've got somebody asking if you've put any plan or thought into an exit plan for yourself, or is the goal to have Tyler or a son take over?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 48, so yeah, I'm definitely looking at an exit plan. And the good thing with the rental properties that I bought them so cheap, they're worth a lot of money. So I could shut it down tomorrow and retire if I wanted to, but I'm not. I mean, I definitely want to stay in for probably at least 10 more years, and then hand it off to Tyler or whatever. But yeah, the good thing is, like, I keep going back to the rentals, and if I can give advice to anyone who's starting out, I don't care if it's rental properties or an IRA or something, get something started for yourself, because before you know it, 5 years is gone, 10 years is gone. And, I can look at those rentals and be like, man, that's the best thing I ever did. So I just stuffed those profits into that real estate, and now look at it, so it really gives me a lot of comfort, when I'm going through the hard times in the season and I'm discouraged. I realize what I have, and, like, if this is bad enough, I can just say, I can't do it no more.
Yeah.
Because I have that to lean on.
Do you work with a CPA, Mark?
Yes.
Okay. So does your CPA help you with some in terms of moving expenses, from one company to another, or trying to manipulate things there to the end of the year if you need to, in terms of putting things, expensing things towards your real estate?
Yeah, she's great. She does our real estate. She does Ronk. She does my family's. She does my payroll. So yeah, I have a good relationship with her, and she takes care of all that.
Yeah. Well, that's a good piece of advice there too for anybody listening or watching. I mean, a good CPA can really set you up, for a 10-year head start on a lot of different things, as I'm sure Mark could probably attest. If you do have a little extra money, I mean, buying a dump truck or buying a rental house, I mean, both of those things are going to pay you throughout the day, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, if you're hiring out a lot of trucking or you have high repair maintenance costs, you know, some of those things can start to dwarf what a payment would be. Or if you were, you know, actually putting that money in your own pocket, you could eventually, you know, buy a truck with cash or you know, a rental house in a you know, that needs a little love. If you're willing to do the work on it, you can make that happen.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so tell us a little bit about kind of when your season, you know, are you're in a seasonal area typically, right? You said you have a couple things going on right now for it being winter. I mean, your typical workload is slower, but
Yeah.
you're still doing concrete projects this winter. You've had some carry into the winter.
Yeah, we actually picked up one that's doable in the winter. I was up front with them. It's a pool deck repair is what it is. So we're ripping out existing pool deck and putting it back, and they want to get it done, you know, this winter. And I just was up front with them on, okay, we can do it, but the temperatures are going to matter when we put it back, and they were all good with that. So we took it on. It's a nice project, and like I said, we're looking to pour some concrete back tomorrow with the temperatures being in the low 40s.
Yeah.
But yeah, typically we go. I'm usually starting out March, second week of March. We're like December. Usually is when things are slowing down. I enjoy December months with my family. Christmas and all that is awesome. I wouldn't want to work. I love being around them, you know. And then I like the reset. I like to kind of, you know, get an outlook for the next year and heal up a little bit. I mean, come on, man. It's, you know, Will, it's hard on you. I mean, I like to reset, rest up, you know, get some different things to get myself acclimated and ready for another season. After doing the you know, the seasonal thing, I like it. I don't think I want to go back to 12 months a year. I like this, having that month or two break is awesome. It's really awesome.
It makes for a good recharge as long as you can budget for it, right? I mean, it takes a little bit of getting used to, I guess, if you're going to move north from a southerly, you know, a southerly area, you know, you really kind of got to watch your first year, I guess, and make sure that you put back a little bit, right?
For sure. As an owner, yeah, you don't get anything. It's just, you gotta, you know, you gotta make it if you're an owner, you know, there's no unemployment for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So about unemployment, do you have people that mainly claim unemployment, or do they have gigs that they move on to in the wintertime, like other jobs that they get, or how does that look for your guys?
Yeah, both. I have W-2s, so yeah, I have guys are on unemployment, and I've had guys that just do other things. I mean, it's kind of, I've had both.
Yeah.
I
Just kind
think
of the
with
nature of the
my
beast.
with my I'm creating a new thing that I'm creating is a salary position actually, and Tyler's going to be on a salary, so he's not going to have to deal with the unemployment. He's not going to have to deal with the unemployment office in the winter, which he's pretty excited about.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how my parents were with me. I mean, I had to stay hourly, but they made me, you know, I had to come in and do something with my time, you know, and that's it can be hard to create, you know, just sit there and come up with something productive to do. It's tough, you know, but in the wintertime, I mean, here at Indy anyways, we have home shows. There's, you know, plenty of things that contractors, you know, whether they're landscapers or concrete contractors, what have you, if it's a seasonal work in our area, I mean, we all kind of flock to the same activities in the wintertime. Seems like we've repainted trailers 2 or 3 times in a row, you know, in the same winter, but
Yeah.
try to keep it shiny, I guess.
Yeah, no, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the grand scheme of things though, you have 2 boys, and is your wife involved with the business at all either?
It's funny you said that. So another thing that was kind of a growth thing that I did this year is I had a part-time estimator. I had a part-time estimator this year, and believe it or not, I trained my wife to estimate, and she killed it. I mean, we were just like trying to get through all the work she sold all year long, and the reason she did it, she actually was laid off from her company that she worked for, you know, last year, but they hired her back. So she needed something to do, and then I was like, well, I'll teach you to estimate. You know, at first she was kind of like skeptic about it, but as I, you know, got her involved and, you know, kind of show her the ropes, and she started just doing it with herself, she actually said she enjoyed it. She said she enjoyed meeting the different people. and, all that stuff. And then, of course, she was enjoying the money on the sold jobs because I was giving her commission. So she was really enjoying that at the end, getting those checks. But I was pretty excited that, I taught her to estimate. So I know that I'm going to be able to teach, my son to estimate. And if I even decide just to hire someone to do estimating, that, they can be taught, because, I was skeptic about it. I was like, man, this is hard. Can you teach people? Well, yeah, you can. It can be done. So that was a great part of it.
Yeah. So you've had to kind of actually write down some of your, what's going on up here, get it down on a piece of paper as kind of a little bit of a roadmap or an instruction guide for your wife or your part-time estimator in this case. I mean, just here's a couple things to look for, or what did that process look like?
Yeah, I think I took her with me on some, we went on them, and then, I was like, she'd always have questions, and there's certain things she would struggle with, and I would help her through those, to understand them. And the main thing was, hey, make sure you take pictures. I need to see the slope of the yard. And then, dimensions are important. We got to get dimensions. I got to know exactly what the size is. And then pretty much we can take it from there. So she learned to do that. And then she also learned to sell, to have a conversation with them. Even though she said some of them were better lead. But she was learning that part of it. And you can tell she liked it because she'd never done anything like that before. And so she was enjoying that was different. Now, she said she wouldn't want to do that as a career, but she did like it as a complementary income. So that was pretty cool.
There you go. Give us now, real quick, I see foo written on the whiteboard behind you, and I know that you have your own definition for this word. So tell us about the history of the word and what it means to you. I want to know.
So, I mean, they make my kids make fun of me, but so when I started out in 2006, I tell you, I felt how big the world was. The world was big. Handing out flyers and just hoping that you get a job, am I going to make it? There's all these other contractors out there. You open up the local paper and then there's, 15 contractors, and I'm like, it seems so big. And then as I was kind of bidding jobs, I seen how competitive it was. It was cutthroat back then. I mean, contractors would cut your throat to get a job. So there's a movie called The Cable Guy, and Jim Carrey's in it. And I like Jim Carrey as an actor. But there's one part where he goes and plays basketball with this group of guys. And, when they first started playing basketball, they play rough it is. So he just yells out foo. So that's where I got that. And I kind of played that into like how it was rough when I started out. Like it was just tough. And, that's where that kind of word comes from. And then I can refer to that to understand where I've came from to be where I'm at. So.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, I get that. So foo. Yeah. Yeah. So what are, let's just briefly recap some of the items, I guess. What did you take away from the last Flatwork Kings event? And what are you looking forward to taking away from this one?
Oh, like I said, that was like, Will, that was awesome. I mean, the way that you treated us, I mean, it was 5-star. I mean, I had no idea it was going to be like that. It was 5-star. I had this nice, with my name on it, nice necklace. And then, everything was just super nice. The food was great. The atmosphere was just killer. The whole presentation was amazing. And then to meet the guys, these guys, it's just, they're like you, they're like me. I mean, they're passionate. They have their struggles. You just want to hug them like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this is awesome. I mean, you guys understand, like, oh yeah, we understand. And then for guys like you to stand up and give your advice, like how you handle things, I-80 Concrete, how they develop their help. Like, you're just like, oh, your eyes are this big. Like, oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that, So you're gaining those things. And then, by the end of that, you're so ready to go. I mean, you're just ready to jump into work and jump into it just really rejuvenates you and makes you like ready to go. I mean, I just can't say enough about what that did that year. And the proof is I had a record year in 2020. I blew the doors off of anything that I ever done. I mean,
that's awesome.
The numbers I had at the end. Now, I did catch some really nice jobs. I caught some big ones. I had a ton of stamped concrete to complement it. At one time, I had a killer crew, churning through the work. So all those things came into play too. But it was the mastermind that really launched my mindset to really take that season the way I took it.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah. I got a question for Mark here. And Mark, how many people are you bringing this year to the Flatwork Kings?
Well, I'm bringing my son.
Your son,
Tyler's coming with me.
Tyler, right? And
Yeah.
you know, why are you bringing someone else from your team? Why should someone that's considering coming over consider bringing someone from their team over to Flatwork Kings? What would you advise them? What's your take on that?
Well, Tyler's a company man, so
Okay.
Tyler is all about it. And like I said, I'm trying to show him all aspects of this because he's expressed that he would like to be me someday. I mean,
Wow.
and I mean, what can you say when someone's really like that excited about it and wants to do it? Then I want to bring him aboard and I want to show him everything. I want to get him as excited as I get at times with it. And if he's excited as I am, and we can build underneath that, oh my goodness, is the growth going to hit the ceiling for sure.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I'm tight with my boys. I coach them in Little League. We go hunting every year. We hang out all the time. I mean, with both sons. I mean, I have a dream relationship with my sons, and like I said, I wouldn't change it for anything. And it's one thing that I really cherish and hold in my heart.
Beautiful. And that's something special right there. You know, that's definitely something special. So kudos for you for really being involved in your son's lives, and that's something that they're going to carry for the rest of their lives and into generations. So that's
Yeah.
amazing on your part. And what I hear from this entire conversation, I mean, you have like this kind of investor mindset, reinvesting into your business, investing into real estate. When you're looking at something like this, that's a mastermind where you're getting together, you're learning information. For a concrete contractor or a business person, perhaps they're in the growth stage or maybe the struggle stage. How would they actually make sense out of making this kind of investment into traveling, booking a hotel room, investing into Flatwork Kings? What would you tell them?
So, I mean, I know everybody probably looks at like, okay, it's going to cost me, what, 750, and I got to drive there and it's a cost, right? We all look at it that way, but I can just tell you that you're going to turn that money into stupid money with what you're going to get from that event. I mean, you're going to get things that are going to completely blow your mind. It's going to make you so excited about jumping into this season or jumping into your next job. I mean, it's really what it costs ticket wise is really cheap. It's cheap. Get there and go to the event and get around us. And I'm telling you guys, you'll be like, that is the best freaking thing I've ever done. And I mean, I'm so excited about next month. And I keep telling Tyler, I keep trying to like, dude, you realize this is so cool. And and you can tell it's cool, but until he experiences it, I can't wait to see his reaction and what he has to say when we're done. I remember when I came back from Tennessee, I was like talking my family's ear off that whole night. They wanted me to shut up. I was like, you don't understand what this was so awesome. And they're like, just okay, we've heard enough.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, my dad pushed me to go to Rocky Jean's course at Rocky Jean's place. And if you've met Rocky Jean's, you understand that he has inspired a lot of entrepreneurial minds in this business. And, he was a former Marine, I think, and don't quote me on that, but I believe he was. And just, it reminded me a lot of how my father, treated his business. He had a few shortcomings or, keeping things small. But otherwise, when you meet people that are genuinely interested in seeing you succeed, like the people that are in this group, like you, Mark, and like you, Danny. I mean, that is what I feed on. It gives me that energy to take on a whole nother year, a whole nother season ahead of me. And, just having those batteries recharged like that, it's indescribable, and to leave there with those phone numbers in your back pocket or just having shook hands with people who are sharing those experiences and sharing the struggles, like you said. You can call somebody if it's cold where you're at, Mark. It's probably cold where I'm at. We're on the same latitudinal plane. So if I'm getting a cold snap, you're probably getting it too. And it's the world becomes a little smaller and a little more manageable when you feel like you have people in your corner. And that's to me that's the most important and special piece of it all. So
Yeah, beautiful. Couldn't have said it better than Mr. Will Mattingly himself. And again, thank you, both of you, for coming on live. Mark, what a story. Thank you so much for opening up and telling us, how you got started into the business and, where you're at right now. Let me see. I got a comment here. I think Mark just sold me on getting my plane ticket for Indy. It's a no-brainer. Hey, Brian, if you're
Yeah.
on the
Good
fence,
job.
go for it. Just go for it. We'd love to
Best
hang out with
decision
you
just
guys.
made. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
It'll change your life. It's going to be an awesome event. I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be our best one yet. I can't spoil all the surprises, but the food's going to be just as good. Hospitality is going to be there.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's going to be a good group. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think you're walking away with one idea, one key idea that you really implement. It can transform your business. It can make your life a whole lot easier. You can make a lot more money. If you learn how to estimate the right way, if you learn how to protect yourself with the right contracts, like Will teaches, I mean, just that alone, setting yourself up on a solid foundation will pay itself in multiples, time and time again. And I heard it from all the other guys that have come in here. But anyways, we'd love to hang out with everyone here and join us at the Flatwork Kings Mastermind live event. It's going to be February 4, 5, 6. And give us the detail, Will. What do you have planned for us? Give us just a little bit of the lemonade pitch there. I know you don't like to tell us, but what do you got for us?
Yeah, so Friday night, we've got open bar at the Early Bird Meet and Greet. So that's on the 4th. That's Friday night. That'll start at 7 o'clock. So that'll be right at the Delta Marriott Indianapolis Airport Hotel. This hotel is brand new. It's right across from the Indianapolis Airport. The Indianapolis Airport is a breeze to get through. I think it's been voted the best airport in the country like 6 years in a row. So very convenient location. Saturday morning, we're going to jump right into hearing from some of our speakers. We're providing full breakfast buffet Saturday morning and Sunday morning, lunch both days. And we can separate for dinner. We're going to be breaking into groups on Sunday. We're going to be having more speakers on Sunday, capping off with we're going to be having a panel of speakers from attendees like yourself. We're going to be picking from the crowd people to sit up in front and kind of share their stories, and we can hone in on some of the topics from the weekend that were really hot and heavy, or if we have some that carry overboard, we can always push them into a panel discussion. So we're kind of saving that end cap there on Sunday for that space, and it's going to be some very impactful stuff.
Yep. And the core mission is to support, to learn, and to grow together. So you're not on an island here, and that's what it's about. And man, Will, thank you so much again for putting this together, because believe it or not, anyone that's listening, it's quite an investment. So I know what it's like to run events and actually put something together to look out for everyone else in the industry. And I know you have a heart and passion, Will, to level up and bring other people up so that they can also grow just like you have. Yeah. So thank you so much for opening up that opportunity, because it takes a leader to be able to do that. So for myself, I really appreciate it. I know other guys I talk to, they feel the very same about you. But flatworkings.com is where they need to go and register. When are you closing the cart? When are you closing the registration? Is there a deadline?
There's no deadline. We'll take you up until the last minute, but there are a limited amount of seats. If we go overboard, I mean, we might spill into a bigger convention space. But right now, it looks like we're still within that threshold. But jump on your seats while they're still there. There is limited capacity, so get in there while you still can. I mean, we look forward to seeing everybody there and really just getting the most out of your jobs. I mean, the market is ripe there right now, like Mark said. Let's take advantage of it together. The jobs are going to go to somebody this year, and I want you guys to be on the top of those lists.
Beautiful. Thank you again, Will. Mark, thank you for joining us. It was special. Anyone listening to this, whether you're live or replay, give Mark a big thumbs up. Thank him for his time here. What an awesome interview. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Have a great rest of your night. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, Danny.
See you guys soon.
Thanks, Mark.
All right.
Bye.